Hello, this is Natalie Murguia, and for my final project, my topic was mental training for performance enhancement. So, psychological skills training or mental training and mindfulness intervention training in sports is used to obtain optimal levels of performance despite any challenges that may arise in suboptimal conditions. Mental training in sports is used to enhance performance in athletes, and many sports psychologists have used a variety of intervention techniques to see how they positively affect their athletes' performance. There are different types of psychological skills training, PST, and mindful intervention techniques, MI. However, the most popularly used are imagery, self-talk, goal setting, relaxation, and arousal regulation, which is what I will be discussing in this video. There are many benefits to PST and MI than just performance enhancement. If an athlete really buys into mental training, they can not only experience enhanced performance, but they may also experience increased joy in their sport and an increase in satisfaction in their physical ability, activity, and sport. As previously mentioned, there are mental training. Mental training and psychological skills training is used interchangeably, but there is also mindfulness-based intervention, and they are two different types of training and techniques used. Mindfulness-based intervention refers to interventions that foster mindfulness, and athletes can use this by meditating, by practicing yoga, and practicing specific mindfulness activities. Now, mindfulness describes the ability to hold one's attention on momentarily experienced bodily sensations, acoustic and visual perceptions, emotions, or thoughts, and to observe them in an accepting and compassionate manner without automatically reacting to or elaborating on them. On the contrary, psychological skills training is based on the assumption that the development of self-control of internal states, such as thoughts, emotions, and physical experiences, enhance athletic performance. We will be discussing both, and relaxation and arousal regulation is both a mental training as well as a mindfulness-based intervention. Here are a few different types of mental training techniques that psychologists use and have used and continue to use when working with athletes. At the very top, we can see goal setting, and then concentration, anxiety and arousal control, relaxation techniques, focusing, centering, positive self-talk, and visualization. I will be discussing the four most popularly used, which are imagery, goal setting, self-talk, relaxation, and anxiety and arousal control. Let's begin. There's a significant amount of studies that show the benefits of imagery on athlete performance and athletes recovering from injury. Montgomery et al. States that imagery is a psychological skill in which athletes utilize their sense to recreate or create an experience in their mind. For example, as we can see in the picture here, the athlete is using imagery to create an experience of what success looks like for her in her mind. Now, it is suggested that by utilizing imagery to recreate an experience similar, bodily responses are activated. By mimicking these bodily responses via imagery, athletes are able to enhance performance. Because there are multiple ways that imagery can be used, whether in first or third person, scientific literature suggests that using a first-person perspective because it provides perceptual information seen by an athlete that may otherwise be missed in third person. Additionally, Davies and West found that imagery can act as a corrective technique, an energizer, a practice aid, a problem solver, and a controller of physiological responses. Imagery can also assist with rehabilitation and coping rehearsal. Bird and Kripe suggest that the ultimate goal of imagery is to make the rehearsal a mental replica of the successful performance, stimulating competitive conditions. To improve self-confidence, Kumari and Kumar suggest that athletes can use imagery to visualize previous good performance, to remind them of the look and feel, and imagine various scenarios and how they will cope with them. The second topic is self-talk. Now, everybody seems to speak to themselves or have this voice in their head, and this voice can be very helpful in helping us accomplish our daily task or it can also be detrimental, depending on how our voice is, whether it's positive or negative. The words that we say to ourselves can directly affect how we feel and behave. So, if self talk is positive, disposition may change and performance may benefit as a result. Whereas negative self talk can be detrimental to our performance and hinder us from being successful. And this remains true in sport. Now, Hardy et al. 2001 states that self talk is a dialogue in which the individual interprets feelings and perceptions, regulates and changes evaluations and convictions, and gives himself or herself instructions and reinforcement. To explain this a little bit better, the use of self-talk in PST is essential because it allows athletes to get more in tune with the way that they think. They also develop the ability to use thought stopping or change the course of their thoughts to remediate anxiety. For example, if an athlete is feeling extremely anxious and they are starting to have negative thoughts, in practicing this PST technique of positive self-talk, an athlete is able to stop their negative thoughts and change them and remediate them immediately to positive self-talk. Therefore, this will increase confidence and additionally enhance performance. Now, overall, self-talk is just beneficial to performance enhancement, and it just continues to show its benefits through the data collected. Now, in Hamilton et al., it was stated that positive self-talk, whether self-regulated or assisted, does have beneficial impact on endurance performance, and that positive self-talk was associated with superior performance, and reported that positive self-talk participants perform significantly better than negative talk assistants. The third topic is goal setting. There are 3 types of goal setting, and they are process, performance, and outcome. However, because setting outcome goals as the end result, which are the end result, is highly uncontrollable, psychologists work on process and performance goals. Now, process goals focus on behavior and strategy. In setting process goals, athletes identify which part of the process in their performance they want to improve on and work on how to do something. For example, turning in swimming, shooting in basketball, passing in soccer. Those are all process goals. Performance goals are goals that are standards or expected results, and they really identify their objective success or failure of the task. In setting goals, psychologists have athletes set SMART goals. SMART goals is the acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time referenced. In setting goals that are specific, an athlete is able to set difficult but realistic positive performance and or process goals that are clearly stated. Measurable goals gives the athletes goals that are numeric so that progress can easily be monitored. Attainable goals are made so that they are within the scope of the athletes. And realistic goals are realistic, and they are able to set goals that are challenging while identifying that there are limitations. And setting goals that are too hard just sets athletes up for failure. But they should also be able to stretch the abilities. Time referenced goals are essential because they set target dates for achieving your goals. This is goal setting and psychological skills training. And the last one that we will be discussing is relaxation and arousal regulation. Relaxation and arousal regulation is used in both PST and MI. Athletes are taught to manage their arousal if they are experiencing high anxiety prior to competition or low arousal before competition. Psychologists work with them in identifying what the athlete needs to get into their optimal zone of performance. Relaxation is used in MI by using mindfulness to get the athlete to relax prior to competition. Glass et al. States that mindfulness skills appear especially well matched to performance enhancement. The benefit of mindfulness practice as applied to sports are almost blindly obvious, They state that focus, awareness, clarity of thought, and the ability to stay in the present moment are basic skills for any great athlete. One possible target of mental training is for athletes to experience flow, which is an optimal performance state when absorbed in the present moment of athletic performance. Supporting this, Orlick 2016 states that the Zen zone, or flow, in play, nature, performance, relationships, creative pursuits, means becoming one with and inseparable from the essence of what you are doing, learning, reading, pursuing, or experiencing for the duration of the time that you are doing it. Now, Davies and West found that practice briefly for a few seconds before executing a particular skill, relaxation dissipates muscular tension and returns fluidity to the fine motor coordination required for successful performance. Relaxation and arousal regulation continue to be a mental training skill that sports psychologists work with athletes in order to prepare them for competition. There are 3 phases of the psychological skills training program. The 3 phases are the education phase, the acquisition phase, and the practice phase. In the education phase, it is important to teach the athlete about the importance and benefits of psychological skills training to their performance. In this phase, the athlete learns about the different types of mental training methods through which they can be learned. This phase lasts as long as it takes for an athlete to really buy in and to understand the importance of developing their psychological skills. The second phase is the acquisition phase. And in this phase, it really focuses on learning the methods for acquiring and developing the different psychological skills. During this phase, formal sessions with an instructor or our psychologist or clinician are used to teach the athletes the relevant methods that they require. So it is always important to remember that psychological skills training are always individualized for every athlete. What works for one athlete may not work for another. So during this acquisition phase, this is why there are formal sessions so that the athlete can learn what methods are relevant to them and they can start to practice them by themselves and become competent. In the practice phase, this is the longest of the 3 phases. This is where the athletes just continue to practice the methods that are relevant to them until they have accomplished the 3 primary objectives of this phase. Now, the benefits of mental training are that, to go back, when I said the practice phase is the longest phase of these 3 phases, until they have accomplished the 3 primary objectives of this stage. The primary objectives of the practice phase are, number 1 is that the skills become automatic to the athlete after practicing. So we're working for the skills to become automatically, so that the athletes learn to systemically integrate skills into their competitive situations. So, for example, using relaxation before a competition to decrease anxiety and to simulate their psychological skills that athletes need in competition. It is also to use self-talk to increase confidence. Now, moving on, the benefits of mental training are that besides enhanced performance, the benefits of mental training are that they improve focus and deal with the distractions. Athletes are able to improve focus and deal with distractions. They grow confidence in the athletes who have dealt. They develop coping skills to deal with setbacks and errors. They find the right zone of intensity for their sport. The skills help develop communication skills and cohesion. They help instill a health belief system and identify irrational thoughts. They help improve or balance motivation for optimal performance and help develop confidence post-injury. They help develop game-specific strategies and game plans and help identify and enter the mental zone, or Zen, or flow more often. This is my presentation on mental training for performance enhancement. Thank you.